All right, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you had a wonderful day. It was absolutely insane in the markets today, and we had everything from bank downgrades to earnings and weird China news. I'm going to go over all of it, but it leads into Nvidia earnings tomorrow. Is the AI bubble going to continue or pop? You will find out after hours, but if you didn't see how it played out, I'm telling you, it was absolutely wild today. So we have a lot to go over. I got the plays for you. I already said that, and the plays, because that's all we're going to go over, and then Nvidia. But I'm just going to run over everything that happened here in the morning, because you should already be prepared with Jackson Hole. We'll even talk about that tomorrow, but hopefully you are seeing there's a lot of things happening now. I mean, it was crazy. So first of all, there was a attitude of relief in the morning. You could tell by this gap up. I think like within a couple of minutes after the bell, the NASDAQ was up like 1 1/4, a little bit more than that. It was feeling very good. There was a lot of relief, but where did this come from? Well, it starts again here with China, and this is where I'm excited, because you guys remember last week and the week before that was always like, oh, something's happening, right? You guys remember that? It was like every week or so I was able to show you something going on. Well, pretty much that happened again today. So the moral of this story is that the Chinese, they strengthened their currency. The way that they fixed it today was the strongest ever on a day-to-day basis since going back to 2018. So it doesn't have too much metrics-wise when it's all put into context, but they assisted their currency. And then the awkward thing that happened today, here is the Hang Seng, and if you notice, it was like right before close on Asian markets. Even if you look at the Shanghai Composite, their last 30 minutes was extremely bullish after hitting lows all day. And again, these are like 6-month, almost 1-year lows, or at least going back to, October, November. Think about where U.S. markets were and all of that. So people reacted to that. What they said was that it was possibly the government. I mean, imagine this. Imagine the market hitting a new low and then all of a sudden bouncing up like 1 or 2% in the final like 30 minutes or an hour. They blame the government in China, and anyways, but that was the first thing that happened today, and this was a very big deal. That was part of the awkwardness, but now get rid of all of this. I mean, if you didn't see the regional banks, I think they took it a lot better, because the last time this happened, we saw like a 4 or 5% down day. You remember, we brought it up in the videos, and what I'm talking about is today there was another downgrade by one of the major credit agencies on the United States banks. This time it was the S&P Global Credit Agency. They downgraded the banks in America. They picked I think all of them, but they had a list of it. It's funny because it wasn't disseminated in the same way as like Moody's and Fitch, but think about it. You've been hearing all of these credit agencies, and this is what I want to highlight about today. It was Moody's and Fitch. That's who you have been hearing about this whole time, whether it's U.S. credit rating or in regards to the bank. Remember, or the banks, you had Fitch and Moody make comments, but S&P, they're the guys who downgraded the U.S. back in the day, and they really have been quiet up until now, and they made their comment on the banks today. So regionals dropped about 3%, and the main thing I was talking about all day today was like, if you pull out the chart, I mean, regionals, we're just back to the level of the peak of SVB. I mean, this says a lot, and it doesn't at the same time, but it's like you're still in shock if you really think about what has happened since March, or at least that is what the price index is telling us. Again, banks had a little bit more difficulty. They've been coming down. I mean, they're not at the lows of SVB, so that's where you could kind of counteract it, but definitely this was one of the biggest pieces of news today, and this got things going crazy. So that's what we woke up to. That's what caused it, and I don't know if I told you, the more we gapped up and then sold it all off, went a little bit like lower than the pump it up level, and then you see where we're at now, but thankfully it leads into a full trading day of tomorrow. Then it's Nvidia, or NVDA for some of the more sophisticated ones, huh? It's called Nvidia, yeah. But if anything, Chad, is going to be wild. I hope you're ready for it. But now, let's talk about the earnings and let's go over a play. I have a high play, but now it's time. Like the video, drop your thumbs up, youtube.com/the stock market for the stream tomorrow, and run it, baby.
Walking to the couch, it's the joints on the legs. Live in the hills, but I still get a spread. Started with a fail, but I still reinvest it. Feel how I feel, then you feel like it's a blessing. I just want the lesson, I just want protection. I'm up and I'm down, but they sound like progression. Farmer never plans if he waits for perfection. Finger to the down, hold it.
But right off the bat, ladies and gentlemen, like I said, I hope you are up to speed with what is going to be happening with Jackson Hole. We will be talking about that leading up into the event, but so far we've recapped everything on the week. Now that you know what's been going on the last couple of days, even today, tomorrow, you are going to get PMI data. There was economic data again. You even had retail sales and a couple of other things that move things, or retail earnings, excuse me, not retail sales, but for the most part, the two major themes that are really going to, cause wind and sail to the markets in either direction, it's going to be either Nvidia earnings or Mr. Jerome Powell having the whole world in his hands. So that's why we've been talking about it. So like I said, tomorrow's not much. I have plays related to the event, but what I want to go over now is simply Nvidia's earnings and what is expected. And if you save these numbers on screen, you can use these numbers right here to pretty much, right when the numbers come out, see how big of a beat it is. It's very simple. If they come in way hotter than anybody is expecting, that'll be another strong beat. If they come in any lower than these numbers you see on the screen, then you're really going to see what's up. And you could even check the performance as well too. So we're going to run through it, but you could save that here right now. But now, here's the other thing I want you to see. This is Jackson Hole. So I'm putting this up here too. So maybe if you don't listen, just pause the video, dog, and then, read this a little bit, get up to speed, and you'll be ready as the time again, and we'll see you on stream. Okay, that's it. That's it. So getting back to the earnings now, what I want you to see here is how we got here. So right now, the company is saying they had guidance of $11 billion plus or minus 2%. And this number right here is the average analyst estimate. Believe it or not, this is what you've been seeing. Again, even today, you have more upgrades. So people have raised their target. They're actually expecting $11.19 billion. I mean, I think this is the simplest earnings in the world. If this number misses on revenue, obviously everybody is going to pick apart all of these little things. They're going to look at gaming. Remember, that has actually been struggling. People are wanting to see data center go up. I mean, robotics hasn't made as much, but if you could get gaming going up, people will like it. But overall, most of this revenue should be coming from data centers and AI. If this number is a miss, I think immediately people will not like that. The next metric is margin, and this is a very good margin. Again, analysts are slightly good. I do think this will have an effect again tomorrow. They're expected to report. Analysts on average are expecting 70.1%. We'll see how that plays out. I don't think that number is going to matter as much. Operating expense, that will be key, because now here could be the caveat. The way I see Nvidia being bad, if they find a way to guide on revenue up and beat revenue, where they might get killed is if expenses go too high. But honestly, if they guide high enough and beat high enough, I think everyone's going to say spend as much as you want, Zuckerberg. What? It's not him. I mean, Jensen. Oh, yeah, you get it. But that's what happened to Mark. Anyways, but hopefully you see where I'm getting at. Operating income, this will be important. It's expected to come in at $5.85 billion tomorrow with a non-GAAP operating margin of 52.3 and an EPS of $2.08. Now, this is where it gets good, the guidance for next quarter. So analysts are expecting that guidance will be 12.56 on revenue. This is how everything happened last quarter. On May of 2024, when Nvidia went crazy, what happened? It was when not their earnings number was like really good, it's because they guided. They guided for this quarter. It was supposed to be $8 billion. They said we're actually going to come in with $11 billion. So this is where we're talking about this quarter, but now how much higher do they come in here? Analysts, and this is where everybody's been upgrading and all of that. They're saying, well, if they beat on this quarter, then this is how they're going to do this quarter. That's why we're going to raise the price target up by $100, $200 ahead of the earnings. So this number is very, very important. This is like the first line of defense. Revenue, operating income operating margin or gross margin and then operating expenses, but now guidance and then those same metrics in that order more or less. That's what's going to start guiding you here. So 12.56 billion for next quarter. That's going to be the number. A gross margin around 70.6. Operating expense is expected to go up, so they got a ceiling up until 2.16 maybe until they freak everybody out, and then an operating income of 6.69 billion, which is great, and then EPS of 239, and then cash from operations $5 billion. So if you see right here, Nvidia, they are already up. Oh, you can't even see that. I got to move it up a little bit, but they are already up 53% since May 24th. That's their last quarter. S&P is up 6.9%, and then the technologies ETF is up 8.9. So the options right now says they're implying about 14.7. I think they moved today up 5% and down. That was part of the drama today too. Oh man, I don't even think, did I show you that? I don't even think I mentioned that. You know that Nvidia gapped up $80 or to 480 today and then sold it all off. They're up like 4 or 5% after everything that we've seen. And then even Nike, again, 9 days in a row in Nike. This is the longest losing streak in a row for them, apparently ever in history. Even Schwab, again, there was some tweets going around talking about their asset levels and then all the bank downgrades, but this is even their worst streak since 2004. So stuff is brewing, but anyways, back to the Nvidia. What I was trying to tell you is that they already moved like 5% or so. So I do believe options around 10 to 15%. And then last 4 quarters, the recent one, they moved 24%, then they gained 14, then lost 1, and then gained 4. So not bad. Last quarters have been wild. And then revenue is beating 18 of the last 20. EPS is beating 19 of the last 20. And then forward quarter guidance has beat 12 of 20, but that's all that matters. So we'll see what happens, Chad. But that will be the earnings tomorrow. And now, let us get into the play. So there's a lot more I could say on it. Again, we talked about it today with NVIDIA. I think there's going to be a very strong bias to support the numbers no matter what. And what I mean by that is I think so many people are heavily invested. I think tomorrow is going to be a very emotional day. It'll be pivotal for the AI story. It's going to be great. I'm excited. But like I'm saying, I think a lot of people want to see it do good. We'll find out what it is. But at the end of the day, you cannot predict it. My play, it's going to be playing after, but now the play before, this is the one I made today. We made it before. We did good on it. RXRX. You may remember this. This is the company that Nvidia invested into not too long ago. It was in July, about like just around a month ago, a little bit longer than that. Remember, Nvidia invested like 50, 60 million, then it tripled up. We made a trade. We sold out around this price level. I think we did great on it, but I got out of that play and I decided to double dip again here today, and I came in with 1,000 shares at 888. And now my logic with it, it's tied to Nvidia. It's tied to some of this AI stuff. I think we get lucky on this play. If it is mentioned in the earnings, even tomorrow, you're going to have a whole trading day. If all the people in the market want to get ready and try to go for all the sympathies, I want to be positioned early on it. But like I'm saying, if Nvidia does good or they mention it, we could get lucky. But here's the thing. This isn't a direct sympathy. The reason why I like it, we're closer to Nvidia's target. And remember, last time we played it, we utilized those covered calls as well too. But I think it can move up. I think it's a nice sympathy opportunity, but it's not as direct. But I like the fact that we're closer and cheaper than the first time we flipped it, and we're getting in there, and it just so happens to tie into the calendar and the news. So I'm looking for a flip on this. Again, we held it for a decent amount of time last time, so we'll see how that one plays out. But watch out for them. And now, in the contrary, what I was talking about, sympathies for Nvidia, I said it right. But what I want you to see is, like, if you really want to play something that is going to be tracking the movement, again, if Nvidia does good, do you want to see the stock go up? Or if it does bad, do you want to see it go down? Well, a stock like Marvel, AMD, that is going to be more of a direct sympathy than RXRX. I think RXRX is it's moved a little sketchy lately in terms of liquidity, but it's one of those smaller cap plays versus one of the bigger chip names that still even have earnings. I think Marvel reports even later, and they moved a lot. So if you didn't notice, like AMD, this wasn't earnings. This was their earnings. This was Nvidia. I said Nvidia so many times correctly in a row, but hopefully you see where I'm getting at. That's a pretty big deal. So tomorrow, that's the direct sympathy. We went with RXRX on the cheaper one. We will see how it plays out, but that is play number 1. Then play number 2. This one, I made a flip on it, but I like it a lot still. I've been telling you about it even with earnings. I made a play on Baidu. I got in at like 125 and sold out at like 130 today. It was like $500, 480. I thought it was good, 100 shares. I wanted to hold hold it, but I was like, man, this back and forth. Just give me my money. I don't want to end up holding it, and then if I got to hold it, if it go down, all that. But I really like it. I might just treat this one like Disney, like I said yesterday, and I'm going to keep my eye out there. But Baidu, they beat on earnings. Again, China is the broader risk, so be cautious. That's why I'm saying, like, in and out with it. I think you could get some good moves. If it does go a lot lower, I would be down to build a way larger swing position, but we do need to kind of play, some of the broader currents in terms of the macro. So watch out for that one. That is play number 2. And then finally, play number 3, it's Folk. And this one's interesting. So it's a biotech play. I grabbed 500 shares at like 550. It was a little bit more expensive, and I kept it smaller because it was up 40-50% today, but they held. And this is the reason why I think it held is because they got a FDA approval to restart the drug, and pretty much over here, they had bad news about the drug that brought them down. So FDA saying, okay, you could try again. They still got money. They're still pursuing along the plans. That's why I was like, it held up. It stayed up. Kind of reminded me of Trisha. There was a lot of volume with it. So I was like, hey, higher up. I didn't want to go too big, but still went with decent size, but it's like $2,500, 500 shares. I'm in at like 570. We were up on it, then it came down, but I think we could ride this for a little bit, and it might be pretty entertaining, or maybe we get a day 2. We'll see what happens, but those are the main plays. Besides that, it's all about the earnings tomorrow. Then that's it, man. You already know. Man. And then the curve steepener, the curve flattened today. So I lost on the 30-year. Again, I should have moved it to the 10. I had an opportunity. I was up on it this morning, didn't take it, but was going to. But we'll see how that one keeps playing out. And I'm sure by Powell and all of that, we'll get a lot of movement. But Chad, that is your watch list, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure hydrate, healthy, ready to go. Make sure post your watch list. Make sure we see you there in the morning. I need the armor on. I need the helmet shining. And I need you to remember, it's short, simple, and sweet today. And I don't know if you were there today, it has more meaning. You understand some of the context. If you're your first time hearing this, this is going to hit you, and you'll be like, oh, it was a sign. It was a sign. But listen, simple. Your prayers are being heard. That's it. That's all, man. That's it. I'm leaving on that. That's it. That's all I'm going to say, bro. Hands up, bro. You want to say, hold on. No, I got something for you. Let me go. Let me get the 35. They were doubting me. Hold on. What's that, man? I don't know what it looked like backwards, bro. They were playing with me, bro. They were playing with me. I've done this with 50s. I told you I could throw this, bro. Oh, see, bro. This is why flexing is bad. You know what I'm saying? You're going to hurt somebody. You're going to see it. I'll rebuke it. Amen. That's a live example. You see that? Hold on, I got to throw it. I threw it now. I actually threw it, so that's evident. I'm leaving. I'm going home, man. All right, see you later. Horn.